Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with Dave's Faves. And today I want to talk to you about a wonderful Chandos disc that I just love. It's a beautiful program. It consists of the music of Benjamin Britten and Canadian composer Colin McPhee, who most people don't know very well. He didn't write a lot of music, actually, but what he did write was really fantastic. So, what have we got here? First, we have the Britten suite from the ballet, The Prince of the Pagodas, which is arranged by Donald Mitchell and Mervyn Cook in this particular version. This is 51 minutes of music, which is a good big chunk of the ballet. It's really Britten's largest instrumental work or orchestral work. It's a couple hours long, and it's a wonderful ballet based on Balinese or Asian music, along with a lot of other influences, of course. I love the complete ballet. It's only been recorded twice complete, which I find kind of shocking, given Britten's eminence in the UK. But the recordings are Britten's own, which is slightly cut. It was an early Decca stereo recording. And then there was one with Oliver Knussen, or Knussen. I never did know how to pronounce his last name, and I really don't care, so don't tell me. But anyway, he did it, and it's marvelous. It was on Virgin, and then it was re-released on EMI, and I don't know if it's still around. It may be very difficult to find. I mean, I've seen it fairly recently, and I think the whole ballet is wonderful. But, the suite contains a lot of really, really good music. Britten did some arrangements, too, much shorter suite. But this is 51 serious minutes of luscious, exotic, and enjoyable music with some really good tunes in it, too. But the other piece that really makes the disc, for me anyway, oh, and by the way, this is all with the BBC Symphony under Leonard Slatkin, who's, terrific in this music, absolutely terrific. You get Tabuh-Tabuhan, which is subtitled Toccata for orchestra and two pianos. Now, Colin McPhee was in the early days of the 20th century, the early decades. He was born, let's see, his years were 1900 to 1964. So when he was like in the 1920s and 30s, he was quite friendly with people like Henry Cowell and the American modernists. And he went to Indonesia, as a lot of American composers did in those days. They went east. And there was a whole school of composers who were heavily influenced by that kind of music, including John Cage and Lou Harrison and Henry Cowell himself. And they were part of the great sort of American musical cultural exchange program that was actually funded by the State Department and encouraged by the State Department in the wake of the First World War and later the Second World War as well. So McPhee participated in this whole thing, and he was absolutely dazzled by Indonesian gamelan music. And as a result of that, most of what he wrote sounded like Indonesian gamelan music, including Tabuh-Tabuhan, which has three movements. It's almost a proto-minimalist work, but it is absolutely exotic Balinese gamelan music, those wonderful percussion orchestras with their shimmering sonorities of gongs of various kinds and what they call metallophones, which are metal instruments that are struck with something. I mean, they are enormously beautiful and sophisticated orchestras or ensembles, and they have a huge and varied and absolutely dazzling repertoire, which is what McPhee evokes in Tabuh-Tabuhan. Now, it has been recorded a few times. The first one actually was on Mercury Living Presence, with Howard Hansen conducting. And it really is one of those iconic 20th century works. I mean, McPhee is sort of a one-shot wonder now as a composer. This is the piece that people play, if they play anything by him at all. But it really deserves the widest possible attention and promotion because it's just glorious music and absolutely original. I mean, originally derivative, or derivative in its originalness, or you know what I mean. It's a fabulous example of really inspired cultural appropriation, which I have said a million times, I'm always totally in favor of. I mean, as long as it's done with, respect for the original source and to see what can be made of it. I mean, composers take things where they find them. And this is one of the great results of that experience. Now, the other thing you get on here, which is really rather cool, is Colin McPhee and Benjamin Britten playing a work called Balinese ceremonial music. This is a literal transcription for two pianos that McPhee made of music from Indonesia. And this is Britten and McPhee playing it on two pianos, which is really cool. I mean, how Chandos got a hold of this, I don't know, but I'm very, very glad that they did. So here you have two composers who are extremely heavily influenced by their journey to Indonesia and their exposure to gamelan music. And this is the result. And it's a wonderful disc just to sit down and listen to and play. It's just full of wonderful sounds, amazing sounds, and some really good tunes. And it's brilliantly played and vibrantly recorded. And there's absolutely nothing not to love. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.